Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront updates and some more exciting details from data mining. I know there's been a lot of data mining lately, and although it isn't official, it's good to actually get some details on what we can potentially expect in the future. Today I've actually got a lot of different things to talk about, which comes from one data miner who wishes to remain anonymous, but I can assure you that he is a trusted source because he's done a lot of mods for the previous game as well as data mines for Battlefront 2, and he has provided me with quite a lot of images as proof, so you don't just have to trust me blindly. And he will probably be providing me with more details on what he finds in the files when new updates come out, because usually when there's a new patch, that also means that new things slip in that the data miners can find. But these are the things he's found so far that I haven't covered on my channel in the current build. Starting off, he found functionality for a Mos Eisley Sandstorm version and a Sunny Camino. Both the logics and assets are there, but they are currently not implemented and activated in the game. But it could be a potential hint that we might see that in the future. There could be various different reasons to why this would not make it into the game, whether it's performance or canon or something else. But it's something that there are assets for, so it would be really cool to get that in the future, because a Sandstorm would actually be really cool. I know it's a very different game, but playing the fog version of PUBG is a lot of fun because you have such a limited vision. And if you would get something similar but on Mos Eisley with a Sandstorm, I think that could bring in some very cool gameplay elements. And moving on, those of you who played the previous game on PC know that there was a lot of hackers, and most of which used damage hacks, which allow them to pretty much one-shot anyone, no matter if you were a hero or not, across the map. But he was able to confirm that the stats are handled differently in this game. In the last game they were handled client side, which was why people were able to modify the code and hack the game like that. But in this game it's instead handled server side, which means that damage hacks should theoretically be impossible to use in this game. So that is a very good sign for all of us PC players, and so far I haven't seen any hacks in the game, which is a good sign. Moving on, we have something a lot of people, including myself, have requested: a player stats screen. The image I'm showing you right now is actually data mined from the alpha version, but he told me that there is a newer version in the current build that has a little bit more stats, is more refined, and so on. So keep in mind that this is not how it's gonna look when or if it's added to the full game, but I still think it was pretty cool to kind of see your standard stats over to the left, some of your favorite weapons and heroes, and also how your star card rarities across your collection is spread out. So it is definitely something in the works, and hopefully something we will get in a patch very soon, because I really feel like a stats element is missing to the game. And something I'm curious about is that when they launch that, will it show all the stats that we have already gotten, or will it reset from zero? Another interesting thing that he found in the files is that Palpatine's presence is supposed to lower the enemy team's armor stat, but for some reason it doesn't work in the current build. But I haven't really seen that there is an armor stat at all in this game, at least not currently. You might remember from the previous game they kind of added that armor part for the Scarif DLC, and it wasn't that clear, so that might be the reason to why they didn't add it here either. But the actual functionality for having Palpatine reduce enemy team's armor is in the game. And another really cool thing regarding the heroes that he found in the files is that Yoda actually has prefabs that would allow him to jump off vertical surfaces. This would in theory allow him to jump into a wall and then jump back off, just like in Attack of the Clones. But it's not fully functional in the game, as you probably have noticed, and honestly it sounds like a real pain to implement in the game, so it wouldn't surprise me if it's something that they tried out, realized that it was way too buggy and not something that would work very well, and then they scrapped it but accidentally left some stuff in the files. But I thought I would bring it up anyways. He also managed to find the first order Riot Baton as a complete weapon. He said it wasn't linked to any particular class at this moment, so it could potentially be a star card. And here's actually a rough model that they managed to extract from the files. There's apparently a lot of undeleted development test maps in the files, and one of these that he found was a very low poly version of the observation deck from Grievous' capital ship over Coruscant. So what this means, for those of you who might not know exactly what low poly and such means, is that it's something with extremely low graphics and not at all a playable map, but there is some type of version of Grievous' observation deck above Coruscant in the game. And he also said that there was no skybox and no way to actually play on this map, but at least it shows that at some point there's actually been a version of Grievous observation deck in the game. And it could just be background stuff. Low poly basically means that it's a very rough version of a map, and it's not something you would see up close quarters, because if you would walk around that, it would look absolutely rubbish. So a lot of the stuff that you see far in the background of maps are usually made in low poly, because it doesn't take a lot of power to generate it, but from very far away it still looks good. And apparently the Jabbas Palace map from the first game is also in the game files, but there's no textures or props, and it's not in the test maps folder either. But as you can see in this code, there are tons of references to Jabbas Palace maps, so this could potentially be something that they are looking to add in the future. Maybe we could get a little bit of a Battlefront 2015 season where they would add in some of the maps and favorite game modes from the previous game. And that also brings me to the next point, which is extraction, that he also found in the files. And according to him, it's basically complete on the Mos Eisley map. You can't activate it and there's no server support for it yet, but he said that if you force your way into split screen, you can actually make it work. So my guess is that they might just recently have started to try putting extraction into the game, and Mos Eisley was the first map they tested it out on. And I think for a lot of people, extraction were one of the favorite game modes of the last game, so I would be really happy if they had a season where they brought back Jabbas Palace, extraction, and some of the other fan favorites from the previous game, but obviously after they've added all the important characters that the community is asking for, because otherwise, well, the community would go crazy, simply. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that apparently the Land Speeder and First Order Speeder are supposed to be two-seaters, just like the Speeder Bike on Endor, but the only thing preventing it from working is that there's no button on them to actually enter the vehicle. You might have seen from my Speeder Bike video that I actually tested it and it didn't work, but the functionality is there, so hopefully it's something that will be added in the update pretty soon. But those are all the details from this update regarding data mining. Please let me know in the comments below which find did you think was most interesting, and you want me to keep covering these data mines once they come in, because the next patch is probably now on Tuesday when the Last Jedi season drops, so at that point he will probably data mine that version as well to see if there's been any new stuff added to the files after that. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Beep.